Well, good day and welcome to you. It is March the 4th. I hope you're having a wonderful day. My name is Gary Willing. And as always, I want to welcome everyone again to Search for Science, because this is actually the second video I'm putting up today. And also to encourage, again, those who want to know more about this information to just check out the links that I provided in the description portion of these videos to learn more about this information. All right, now, I said in the last video, I'll say it again, I tried to answer and address all the questions and comments that came my way this time in one video, and it just got so long that I think I need to break it up. So this next question / comment comes from RS. I understand that you're from the Masonic order. Jesus said you cannot serve two masters, either you will love one or hate the other. He also said fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. This fear is healthy because it keeps us from doing evil to ourselves and others and from following Satan. There are consequences to sinful actions. If you choose not to trust Jesus Christ for forgiveness of your sin, do you not fear what God will do to you if you deny his only Son, or put him in a category with demigods? Don't fear what men can do to your body, but fear the one who can cast both body and soul into hell. All right, so I guess the first line I want to address, don't fear what men can do to your body. Yeah, I don't usually, unless it means if I'm going to prison, then I guess I would. I'm sorry, that's a bad joke. Anyway, so let me go back to the first part. I understand that you are from the Masonic order. Really? I am? Where'd you get that one? I haven't even talked about the Masons, so what would you think that about me? Just to kind of put any rumors to rest, if that's the case. I've never been a Mason. I'm not one now, and I have no plans on joining the Masonic order, so in regards to this information, I am not a part of any organization or anything like that. Even though I do encourage people to check out the Share International link, I'm not even a part of their organization anymore. I'm doing this on my own. So you presumed something about me that's not true. All right. Jesus said you cannot serve two masters. Either you will love one or hate the other. And you put those all in quotation marks. Did he say that, actually? Did he say it exactly how you just said it? Well, the way I remember it, he didn't. He did not say you cannot serve two masters, either you love one or hate the other. And then it was also kind of what you're saying is taken out of context a little bit, based on your presumption that you think I'm a Mason. But anyway, he was talking about detachment, and it's one of the teachings of Maitreya that he will be teaching humanity is the need for detachment. If you want to kind of understand what Maitreya will be teaching, for those, maybe not URS, but other people who want to know about that, go listen to Krishnamurti, because that's what is pretty much central to his whole teaching is the need for detachment. But it's not only about material wealth, it's about everything. It's about the way that we see life. It's about the way that we identify and what we identify with and all that kind of stuff. Because even what we identify with is not who we are, from what Maitreya says, Now, Maitreya says he comes to teach humanity the art of self-realization. Now, before I get ahead of myself, let me go back to what Jesus said. Jesus said he was talking to the rich person, the wealthy man who wanted to follow Jesus. And Jesus said, well, give of all your worthy possessions to the poor and come follow me. And he couldn't do it because he was attached to those possessions. Now, whether that actually happened historically for real, or if it was just written in there as an allegory to teach detachment, it doesn't really matter, I don't think, because what he was saying was you need to be detached. And then when Jesus turned to his disciples and said it's easier for a rich man to go through the eye of a needle than to enter the kingdom of heaven, I don't think Jesus was talking about some far-off place that we go to when we die called the kingdom of heaven. This is some utopic kind of place that we go to versus the opposite of what we're about to address in terms of, of course, the HE double hockey sticks, right? But Jesus even mentioned in other verses, he said the kingdom of heaven is at hand. It's here right now. It's the manifestation of your own divinity, which is that, The kingdom of heaven that he was referring to was when you manifest it perfectly within yourself. You can't do that when you're detached, just like Krishnamurti talks about in every one of his videos about the need to be detached, but not only about material wealth or material things, but also about ideology, about beliefs, about who and what you're identifying with, because who and what we identify with is not who we truly are. We are the divine self that's looking at all that. Just the fact that you can see that you are a Christian or you are a Muslim or you are a Republican or a Democrat shows that it's not you. And so that's what Maitreya says when he comes to teach the art of self-realization. He says, honesty of mind, sincerity of spirit, and detachment are the only three ways to truly realize yourself as divine. So that's what I think Jesus was talking about, more so than what you think he was talking about. So anyway, that's just me. You can believe whatever you want to believe. He also said, quote, fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, unquote. Who is he? Jesus didn't say that. David said that. So, and is this fear healthy? I don't think any fear is healthy, really, because it keeps us from doing evil to ourselves and others and from following Satan, which you capitalize Satan. If you go back and look in the Bible, Satan is never capitalized, actually, because Satan is actually a symbol for the selfish nature of all of us. There isn't this entity called Satan. I know you believe that, and I know every fundamentalist Christian and most non-fundamentalist Christians believe that there's this entity called Satan or Lucifer. There's no truth to any. To me, it's a myth. So do I fear that? No, I fear more of my own selfish nature, than I do anything else. Just like when Paul said, even Satan can disguise himself as an angel of light. I think he was talking about the good intentions that people have that they think are good intentions but are actually selfish, is what I think he was talking about. But that's just it's my own interpretation of it. But Jesus did not say that. David did. And then if you were to go back and look at the Old Testament, I think most of the writings of the Old Testament, if you want to find any truth to it, you got to sift through a lot to get to it. And some of it's in there, but most of it is just gobbledygook to a large extent. I think the main red meat in the Bible that I think really pertains to life as it truly was coming from Jesus more than it was anything else. But that's just me. But anyway, there are consequences to our sinful actions. If you choose to not trust Jesus Christ for forgiveness of sins, and do you not fear what God will do if you deny his only son? No, I do not. I don't share that same fear. Or put him in the category of Democrats. We're going to talk about that one too. I do think that, since you're one that's putting this in there, I don't think that the fear of going to hell even makes somebody a better person. If it truly did, or following the Ten Commandments makes somebody a better person, which is all Old Testament, fearing God, Jehovah, or the God of Israel, whatever, is going to make somebody. If it did, we would be living in a totally different world than we're living in today. Just look at the history over the last 2,000 years. Even Christian history in the last 2,000 years. It doesn't make anybody a better person. If they looked at what Jesus really said, what you sow, so shall you reap, and really dove into that one line and forgot about everything else, but just looked at that one line, that would make them a better person, especially if they started to really apply it to their life. What we put out, we get back, is what he was saying. Those who live by the sword shall die by the sword. It doesn't only apply to just individuals, but it also applies to nations. So if nations actually lived according to that law, we would not be living in the same world that we're living in today. The Europeans would never have tried to expand their empire in the way that they did, in the name, thinking that they were doing it for God, which is just what Paul just said about, even Satan can disguise himself as an angel of light. Their intentions they thought were good. I'm sure if we went back and we interviewed some of these kings and queens and explorers and crusaders that thought that they were doing the utmost God's work, but they were doing nothing but evil to other people, harm to other people. And it eventually came back on them and eventually came back on their nation, And you can even see it in our recent American history, where the foreign policy over the last 50 years and the harm that it's caused other nations is starting to come back on the United States in the way that it is, But yet they thought they were doing, I bet you that even our presidents thought they were doing the utmost good for the United States, or thought they were doing God's work like George W. Bush, No truth to it. But that's, and the other thing is when you think that God or Jesus can forgive you by just believing in him, it absolves you of all your responsibility. And then you turn around and do it again. But if you truly lived within that law and saw that, okay, if I harm this person, it comes back to me, eventually you'll stop doing it. And when I talk about the masters of wisdom, which is what I think they were referring to in the Bible as the kingdom of heaven, living like that, the kingdom of heaven is at hand and all that stuff. When you truly live within that law, you become harmless, and harm is still no longer comes to you in the way that it's coming to you. Even Jesus on the cross was an example of how to live and harmlessly in the face of violence being perpetrated on you. He didn't harm them at all. So there was no karma that came back on Jesus for what he did, for what they did to him. Where in most instances, when violence comes onto us, we want to perpetrate that violence back on the other person some way as revenge, right? So he was an example of what to do, right? But yet do we live like that, right? The masters live totally harmlessly within the law of cause and effect, moment to moment. That's why Maitreya just can't come out. These masters just can't come out and say, well, yep, we're here. The space brothers coming from other planets just can't land in our neighborhood and say, yep, we were here all along. They have to live harmlessly within that law, because it would be an infringement upon our free will for them to do that. They have to do it slowly over time until we can accept the fact that they're here. So, but anyway, that's a little more of it. But then if you want to look at, says, do you fear what God will do to you if you deny his own? No, not at all. I think that's about as much of a myth as what they're doing today to Trump. I follow American politics quite closely, and to go back to what you said, I think that Jesus was a teacher that taught humanity how to live. And sometime after he was gone, man put him up on this pedestal and made him a deity in order to control the masses. It was an evil that was perpetrated on people, really. And if you look at what's happening today, I follow American politics, like I just said, and you look at what the evangelicals are trying to do to Trump. They're trying to make him a deity so they can control the people better, so he can control the people better. They're doing the exact same evil that they're doing. That's what's so alarming about what they're doing, because it's working. People believe that Trump is next to godliness because of it. Even though if you just look at his history, it's like he is anything but that, But yet that's what they're doing to him. And given a chance, they will do it, right? But if we were back, if this was during, the 6th century or whatever, whenever they made Jesus a deity, they would have done the same thing to Trump, and we'd be worshiping Trump the same way that we're worshiping. I mean, it is, as one of the masters said, the greatest triumph for the forces of evil, the monopolization of spirituality within religion. When somebody even like Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go to church to see Jesus or experience divinity or love of God. It's all right there. But that fear that you talk about, I never shared that fear, because I was never raised to believe that I needed to be fear God. I was raised, even as a Christian, before I knew any of this information, that God was love, God was forgiveness, God was this, that, and the other. So I didn't share that fear. Fear and joy are equally infectious. So when you're young, if someone is telling you, especially if you're looking up to them like a parent or, somebody like that God, you need to fear God, and they keep telling you it over and over again, of course you're eventually going to believe that. And it's going to be very, very hard to let that go. It might be impossible for some people to let it go. So hopefully that helps. But then lastly, to your question about the demigods, I'm going to go back to the Old Testament. I'm going to leave you with this, RS, and whoever cares to know about it. Read Hebrews 12:23. Read the verse. I'm not going to say what it is. Just read what it is, and then come back. If you read it, tell me what you think it means. Okay? So I'm going to leave it like that. So anybody that listened to this video all the way through, I'm asking you, if you want, just to go look up Hebrews 12:23 and let me know what it means. According to one of the masters, that was a direct reference to the masters of wisdom. So in the Bible, it's right there. So anyway, hopefully this all helps and sheds some light on some things. Thank you very much. You guys have a great day. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.